Hey y'all, hi. I know. If you're not new here, then you will know that it has taken me forever to get around to painting the background, and I finally did it this weekend, and I love it so much. My only regret is that I didn't make time to do it sooner. And also, unfortunately, there are a couple of videos in the lineup that we filmed before I painted it, because this video is new makeup hot takes, me talking about new makeup releases and all of my feelings about them. This is kind of a time-sensitive video because it's about new releases, so we usually try to edit it and post it much more quickly than we usually do with other videos. So basically, because it's new releases, it's getting pushed to the front of the line, and after this one posts, there are going to be a couple of more that trickle through that I filmed back before I finished painting. But after that, it's going to be Dead Salmon forever. Sulking Room Pink will always have a special place in my heart, and in fact, I'm going to help my mom make over her bedroom probably sometime towards the end of the summer. And when I went to buy the gallon of paint to paint this, I purchased her some samples. And I got her a sample of setting plaster, a sample of Sulking Room Pink, and a sample of Dead Salmon. So she might actually go with any of the three of them for her bedroom. Do you think I should vlog that? Hannah's mom's bedroom makeover? Do you think I should stop talking about my life and get into the meat of the video? If this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, let me get you caught up really quickly. My name is Hannah and I love makeup. This is a beauty channel, but for me and my own makeup collection, I'm practicing like a quality over quantity strategy. So I'm usually looking at new makeup with a critical eye, basically looking for reasons not to buy things rather than reasons to buy things. If that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Oh, I almost forgot to move to the side. What a lovely day to move to the side, too. You can see more of the background. This was my secret plan I didn't tell anyone about. A little clothing moment, a little fashion content moment there. I felt like I wasn't looking cute over here until I got my ear out. My ear's making me look cute. Legolas vibes. I'm getting a haircut in mere days. I don't know why I'm so chatty about myself today, and this is not the video in which to do it because I have a lot to talk about, but I just remembered that there's something else that I needed to say. I should have said it in the introduction. I totally forgot. I'll make it quick. Last week, I was the featured guest on an amazing podcast called How to Save a Planet. The host of the podcast is the Alex Blumberg of Planet Money and This American Life, the CEO and founder of Gimlet Media. It was somewhat intimidating to be interviewed by him, but I was much comforted by the help and guidance of the incredible producer who created the episode, Anna Ladd. The episode is partly about my journey from chronic overspender to thoughtful consumer and about my YouTube channel, but it's also about beauty YouTube at large. And if you watch beauty videos on YouTube as one of your hobbies, you will really enjoy listening to the episode. Anna did an incredible job. I'm going to link it down below, and I really, really hope that you'll click through and listen. It's just a quick half hour. It's very fast-paced, super easy to listen to. I love How to Save a Planet, and I'm honored to have been a part of this episode. All right, let's move on to talking ourselves out of buying some new makeup. And there's a lot going on this week. There are two things that I know about, even though I haven't actually been paying close attention to new releases. There are two things that I know about because they were just so dramatic that they leaked through to me. Should I talk about them first? I think I'll just talk about them when I come across them. I'm going to scroll through Trend Mood 1, which is an Instagram account that posts about new beauty. And I'm starting at the top, so I'm going in reverse chronological order. Okay, e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush. I've skipped a bunch of things because I want to just talk about the things that I feel like are of note to me. There are a lot of things that are vaguely interesting, but I just don't feel like I have much to add to the conversation. I do feel like I have something to add to the conversation about the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush. And here's what it is. Forever, I wanted to try the e.l.f. Putty Blush because it seems right up my alley. I love a cream blush. Cream blush is #1 with me. And the colors were so beautiful and the marketing was so beautiful. And I felt like I heard people talking about it and enjoying it. But then I got the chance to test a bunch of stuff from e.l.f. I feel like the putty blush was the biggest fail. It felt so dry and silicone-y that it just buffed away, leaving almost nothing on the cheek in terms of color. But weirdly, it wasn't even the pores, because I feel like I don't really have like big gaping pores on this part of my cheek. It was the tiny, tiny hair follicles from just very fine peach fuzz on the face. The blush got stuck in all of those hair follicles, and I just had like spots, dark spots all over my cheek where the blush had gathered in those follicles. It was bizarre, and I've never seen a product do that. I tried several times and I could not make it work. And some of you in the comments, when I posted about that issue, said that you had the same issue. You were like, oh yeah, that product is garbage. And some of you in the comments were like, it's actually really amazing. You've got it wrong. Maybe it was just a bad one. Maybe you had a bad color. I don't know. I walked it back a little bit, but then I never went and tried it again. So for me, the jury is kind of still out on e.l.f. Putty Blush. And here they come, not only with a luminous version of the Putty Blush, and I love luminous cream blush best of all, as you can maybe tell, but with 3 colors that seem literally designed to make my heart skip a beat, especially that color on top. I mean, that's basically dead salmon in a shiny blush, and that's my dream. Tiptoeing very close to the legendary Old Gum blush of my fantasies. That's like the best thing you could show me. But the other 2 colors are amazing as well. I love an orange, I love like a persimmon pink. You know, it's like a slightly softened persimmon. And the one on the bottom is the most boring, but I think it would probably still be pretty. I know that I said that we're gonna be talking ourselves out of buying things today, but I'm kind of tempted to do a review of these, like giving them another try. Or if you've tried them and they're garbage, please tell me in the comments down below, because it would just take one of you to be like, I've tried them and they're just as pasty and weird as the other ones, to completely talk me down off the ledge. Here's what I'll say though to calm us all down. I don't trust it. They're really trying to get me, but I don't trust it as far as I can throw it based on my original experience. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for reviews. Okay, I haven't tried anything from r.e.m. Beauty by Ariana Grande, and I don't really want to, but this marketing image is everything to me. This really has my heart. If you watched my recent video about my weird interior design inspo, then maybe you'll be able to see why. I feel like Ariana Grande watched my recent video, my weird interior design inspo, and she was like, how can we take all of these principles and apply them to a photograph of 3 lipsticks at dusk in the desert? Nothing about this makes me want to try the lipsticks, assuming that that's what they are. In fact, I kind of feel like sand is getting in the lipsticks. Although maybe they have little space helmets on, like a lot of things do in the r.e.m. Beauty line. They must have little space helmets protecting them from the sand. I love everything about this, and still have no desire to buy or try anything from the brand. It's just, who's responsible for this? Like, who is the creative brain behind this? It's just so weird and lo-fi, but not in an overdone way. I feel like that's the thing about it. I love it when I see marketing images like this that just tickle my fancy, but don't make me want to buy the thing. Yeah, I find this highly inspiring. Not like I'm planning to market anything anytime soon or maybe ever, but if I ever do, I'm going to come back to this image, and then probably my marketing campaign will flop. Ew, no, I can't. I'm usually not grossed out by stuff, but this, and I'm not even grossed out by it. I'm just kind of like, why? The VELVEETA nail polish, and it's not just VELVEETA colored, and it's not just dripped all over the nails in the marketing image in a way that makes it look like actual VELVEETA cheese. It's cheese scented? Who is out there buying cheese scented nail polish that also looks like cheese? I am just not available for this. I feel like our resources could be going, our collective resources could be going to something that makes a slightly better case for itself to exist. So there's an announcement here on Trend Mood that About Face Beauty is coming to Ulta, which really interests me because a lot of you have asked me to review About Face Beauty here and there. It's just always been kind of on my radar. And every once in a while I go to the site and I think, should I do a self-sponsored review of this entire brand? And you know what usually happens then? I start putting things in my cart and all the colors I want are sold out. That's actually the thing that's kept me from doing it. And maybe I've just had bad timing, or maybe it's a chronic issue. But if they're going to be stocked at Ulta, I feel like I'll have a better shot at being able to cobble together a self-sponsored review of About Face if you want one. Do you? Let me know. I'm just sitting here trying to decide what to say about this launch, this new brand from Isamaya or Isamaya. I'm assuming that it's Isamaya French. That's what it looks like. But I just apologize if I'm wrong because I've never heard someone else say this person's name out loud. Isamaya Beauty coming in with a strong point of view. This is what we call edgy, my friends. But isn't there a thing where it's like telegraphing its edginess a bit too aggressively? Like I feel, I hope this isn't too hard of a burn, and I really do think that this is cool. And I'm not trying to literally throw the most devastating shade at someone who I don't know who they are. But the thought that I have immediately is this. I feel like there's a quality inherent in actual edginess, which is that you're not trying too hard. There is a fine line when it comes to edginess, and that fine line has to do with it not being too polished, kind of in a way. And I just feel like there's something about this that feels too on the nose. It's not suggestive. It's beyond suggestive. It is, you know? And I just feel like if I were on the team workshopping this packaging, I would be like, well, what if we do something where we try to suggest these piercings without actually giving actual piercings and jewelry to the makeup? And what if for the cover of the eyeshadow palette, we suggest the human figure robed in latex without actually sculpting an entire human figure onto the cover of it? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they really are doing exactly what they intend to do, and this is definitely memorable and it's going to get people talking. But to me, when you're trying to evoke this kind of aesthetic and the things that it makes one think about, suggestions are more titillating and therefore more evocative. Again, though, I'm talking as somebody who doesn't really have context other than the general context of aesthetics in the world and general knowledge of makeup and of the beauty community. So if you know more, let me know. Am I going to buy this for myself with my own money because I have to have it? Absolutely not. Am I going to review it, as several of you have asked me to do? It might depend on the response in the comments on this video, because it seems like there are a couple of things coming up that are candidates for my self-sponsored review budget for this month. I don't think I would put 95 pounds, so over $100 worth of my self-sponsored review budget to this eyeshadow palette, partly because the color story doesn't really appeal to me. Individually, the shadows look like they have potential, and so if I kind of used it as a collection of singles, I'm sure I could make some good looks from it. But I don't really like the way that red and green and blue are sort of all jumbled together in this palette. But the other things really appeal to me. The Rubber Lash Latex Lift Mascara. I mean, I feel like this brand is nothing if not all about that like inky, spiky, gunky, spidery lash situation, which is what I'm all about too. The Clear Brow Gel, which has a pomade that laminates the eyebrow for a naked effect. Laminates the eyebrow for a naked effect? What looks naked when you laminate your brow? I could just see myself sitting here on camera, like laminating my brows with the product, and then as soon as I'm done, like my clothing all disappears. Laminate your brows for a naked effect? They must mean that you stick your brows so thoroughly down to your skin that it looks like your brows aren't there, except for whatever contrast you're getting between your skin and your brows. So I'm not going to test this 60-pound hyaluronic glow serum. I could see myself, if everyone's just clamoring for it, I could see myself getting the mascara, the lip serum, and the brow gel and reviewing those three. Let me know if you think it would be worth it. Because I feel like these products, I mean, if you are a true aesthetic and makeup collector, or really you just like having one piece of standout sculptural makeup on your vanity, you know, then you're going to get this just to be that, and that's fine. It's sort of like a whole other thing. But I feel like that aside, it's going to be performance that makes or breaks this brand. Because the only way they can earn, in my opinion, having chosen this intense packaging and made so much of it and then priced it so high, the only way they can make sense of that is by having every single product just perform to the nth degree and blow us all away. And maybe they will. Okay, here we go. One of the two things that I knew about before I started filming this video today, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. I have already filmed a video duping the vibes of this palette. That's the eye look that I have on right now. I want it. Spoiler alert, I wanted it before I filmed that video, but it was a rockier road than it usually is for me duping the vibes. Usually as soon as I start messing with my own eyeshadow to try to replicate the looks that I would create if I bought the new eyeshadow palette that is calling to me, as soon as I start, I'm like, who am I kidding? Why did I want new eyeshadow? I have so much great eyeshadow. And this one was a little bit of a longer, more protracted process. I got there eventually, but this is nothing if not my color story with a pop of pastel purple. And these days, if I'm going to have a pop of anything, then pastel purple is acceptable. It's something in which I have an interest. But come on, it's like 4 shades of sort of greeny, grungy bronze of a kind. Every neutral is like a tiny bit greenish, but not really fully all that green. Although this picture on Trend Mood is making it look like Liberty is actually like an army green. But on the Sephora listing, and I know because I just went through the process of duping the vibes, that just looks like a dark matte brown. Very mixed messages from the imagery here. And actually, I'm not quite as compelled by this imagery as I am by the actual product listing that shows the actual, I hope, the actual colors and textures of the eyeshadows. Now, I'm going to rave for about 15 seconds, maybe longer, TBH. But it's coming entirely from a place of my own personal preference, okay? And I'm totally aware of that. When it comes to my color preferences, what I like, this to me is the best thing that ABH has released ever. The best eyeshadow palette, the best color story they have ever released. I love all the different shades of bronze. I love the slightly grungy, strange pale silver. I love the putty colored matte. I love the terracotta, and I love that the pop is a pastel purple. I love that there's a dark brown and there's a dark shiny brown. There's just so much about it that makes it really functional and really inspiring for me with my tastes. However, 3 of the shades are not eye safe, or rather it says in the marketing that they're not meant to be used on or near the eyes. What is that about? An eyeshadow palette with 3 shades that aren't eyeshadows? I feel like something must have gone wrong in the process. Sorry, a bug just came in, visited me, and I don't know where it landed. They wouldn't have developed those shades that way if they had known that they were going to have to put that caveat. Something must have happened after the entire thing had been produced and they're about to release it that made them have to put that caveat on it, that warning. Maybe they stain, maybe they have an ingredient in them that isn't actually eye safe, but I feel like it really takes the wind out of the sails of this palette. And if that's not enough for you, then stay tuned for my upcoming video duping the vibes, because I go through this palette and I pull eyeshadows from my collection to create an eye look on my eyes that I think one could create with this, but I feel like it ended up quite a bit higher voltage than one would actually get from this palette. Even after duping the vibes, I still love it. I love the color story. I find it very inspiring. I still kind of want it in this vague abstract way, but at this moment, I'm not going to buy it because I have plenty of eyeshadow that can serve the same purpose. And why would I buy this palette with 3 shades that you can't use on your eyes when I can just use the shades that are similar to this that I already own to do the same thing? Because I can use them on my eyes. My actual eyes. Wow, these new Pat McGrath blushes are really, really, really pretty. They're really pretty. And here's what I have to say. I just don't wear powder blush anymore, almost ever. And I have some powder blushes that I love. It's those, I mean, there are a number of them that I love, but especially those Lancome Blush Subtil, Mocha Havana Shimmer, and Miel Glacé. I was just thinking about them the other day, thinking about how much I love those colors and how much I love the way that those blushes look. And I haven't used them in like a year. I just use cream blush pretty much. So it would not make any sense at all for me to buy these, as beautiful as they are, because if I'm not using Miel Glacé, I'm not using any powder blush. Okay, here we go. The other thing that I already knew about when I sat down to film this video. I knew about it because Julia sent me the New York Times article about this. Kim Kardashian's new skincare line, Skkn by Kim. And if you haven't read the New York Times article, I recommend it. I feel like the writer of the article really understands Kim, as far as I can tell, and really got at something about what she's doing or what she thinks she's doing that I haven't really quite read before, like an angle that I haven't really seen explicated in that way, but that really felt like it could be true. It's an interesting read, especially if you're interested in the beauty industry and in skincare and or in Kim Kardashian. The thing that is wild about this skincare is the price point. The price point is astronomically high for every single product, and it's so weird because one of them is just a hyaluronic acid serum. It's just a hyaluronic acid serum and it's like $100. And I could kind of understand if she's really making like super high-end skincare and she's modeling it after all of her incredibly expensive, like medical grade, although I know that that's not really a thing, but you know what I'm saying? Super fancy in terms of where everything's sourced and how everything's produced and, you know, very careful and all of this, trying to check all the boxes to be top of the line and putting money into that process. If she's really, as she claims, doing that, then I can understand something like the vitamin C serum being that expensive because because the components of something with a delicate ingredient like vitamin C could maybe end up adding up to cost more to produce. And the same is true of maybe the night oil or the oil drops or even the face cream, the eye cream, depending on what's in them. Like I could see her making a case for that. But no hyaluronic acid serum, like straight up just basic hyaluronic acid serum should cost $100. And the same goes with the cleanser and maybe the toner and the exfoliator, in my opinion. I just feel like there must be a wild markup on those products. It's like selling a t-shirt and a fur coat together in the same clothing line and pricing them really close to each other and being like, well, we took the utmost care with making all of these pieces of clothing, so all of them cost around $1,000. And you're like, okay, but couldn't the t-shirt have been a little less though? Just the t-shirt? They're like, no, it was a really fancy t-shirt. I'm intrigued by this. I mean, I'm intrigued by the brand profile and what she claims she's trying to do. I think the packaging is literally the be-all end-all. I'm like really, really into the packaging, as I have always been with everything that Kim Kardashian has done. She really knows how to tug on these heartstrings with her packaging and presentation. I'm just pretty much totally priced out of this. I mean, like, even if I decided to set aside my entire budget for self-sponsored review for an entire month, I would just be able to review like maybe 2. It's just utterly wild, and I'm kind of curious to see like where she thinks she's going with this. I'm curious to know how long it will last, if it lasts, who's gonna buy this stuff. I wish it wasn't so expensive, but it is. As such, I'll be following its future career with great interest from a safe distance. Ew, no, I don't like this. I'm not okay with this. This new Colourpop mega palette with all the greens and browns, I don't like it. I rarely have this strong of a negative reaction to a color story, but this is kind of how I felt about the color story from the Bondage makeup palette. It's like bright, washed out green with a whole bunch of different shades of brown and then a pink. You literally couldn't have done a worse job. I'm sure people love it and find it useful, but I just don't like the way that those colors look together. Why do I feel so strongly about this? I mean, in theory, if I had this palette, I would get good use out of the bronzes. If you took the greens out so that it just looked like a Morphe palette, a bunch of different shades of brown and bronze, then I would like it. And there is a terracotta in it that's pretty. I just feel like greens like this, specifically greens like this, they need to be supported in a different way. They need to be handled with care, a different kind of care. And it also might be a matter of arrangement. Everything is just completely jumbled together. I feel like they overworked this and lost perspective. I'm gonna move on. I caught a glimpse in passing of this Mighty Thor eyeshadow palette, like a Thor-themed makeup launch at Ulta, and I thought that it was Thorgy Thor, the drag queen. But alas, just Thor. A new release from Fenty. I feel like that's always something of note. Fenty is such a successful brand in my opinion, and even though I haven't loved every single thing I've ever tried from Fenty, I almost always want what they release. Like these new releases from Fenty always make me want them, and I'm always paying attention. I'm following the career of Fenty with great interest. However, in this case, I'm saved because this is a thing that I don't really like across brands. This is just a genre of product that I don't really like. A lip stain, like a watery stain tint type thing. I find that they almost always just go incredibly bright pink. They make my lips look like I took a magenta magic marker and just held it against the skin of my lips. And it's just not a flattering color on me. Maybe these are different, but in my experience, gel tint stain type of things or watery gel stains often come in this kind of a shade range, like a deep berry, a deep red, a sort of pinker red, a very orangey deep one. And then they all stain sort of a Kool-Aid version of that color. So this is one release from Fenty that I don't need to hem and haw over. It's an easy no from me. Aha! I was just scrolling through Trend Mood and I spotted this airplane toilet seat packaging and I was like, is that a new release from r.e.m? And it is. This is my first time finding out about this. Cream bronzer and cream highlighter. When do these launch? May 25th. Very old news. There are probably already a bunch of reviews of these out there. So maybe I'll go watch some reviews. And here's the thing. I really like r.e.m. I've enjoyed the products that I've tried. I've reviewed a bunch of products from r.e.m. and the concealer is basically my hero product of like the past 2 years at this point. I like the blush a lot too, the blush that's in this format. Given that I have history with the brand, that kind of history with the brand on my YouTube channel, this is the kind of thing that it does make sense for me to review. I'll look around though and see if that is a good idea, see if it fits into my schedule. I'm not totally sure. If I don't decide to review it, I'm probably not gonna go buying it for myself because I have, you know what I mean? I have this kind of thing. The product that I'm wearing today, the Ket Cream Fix highlighter, I couldn't ask for anything more, you know? I could not possibly ask this product to do anything better than this, the one that I already have. I just filmed an entire overhead video of really shiny, wet look cheek products. And you know, I think I probably have 8 or 9, but that's more than enough. That's more than I need. So the brand is intriguing. The release is intriguing. I think it's a great launch for them. But if I don't decide to make it one of my reviews for the month, I will be okay without it. Wow, Off-White Beauty is really coming for me. Do you remember? I think it was the last new makeup releases. They launched fragrances and all the descriptions of all the fragrances really got me where I live. But then they were like $165 a bottle. And so I was like, okay, I don't need to worry about whether or not I'm going to buy those. Actually, kind of a similar situation here. This marketing is everything to me. It's like a flower growing out of a melon and colorful pigment sticks for the face and body and a ruler. This is up there. This is giving Ariana Grande a run for her money. And it looks amazing. A creamy and versatile color stick for face and body, smooth, pigmented, beautiful, intriguing, bright colors. Look at the swatches. I feel like my heart just skipped several beats. Look at the swatches. I'm here for this in every way except for that each one costs $42. And I just don't know if I could do that, especially speculatively. Wow, look at this Pat McGrath release. This is from 3 weeks ago. I know that I'm really behind. I haven't done a new makeup releases in a while, so you guys probably all know about this already, but just wow, okay? A limited edition opalescent highlighter. It's probably already sold out if it was limited edition. I'm kind of glad that this sort of duochromy colorful highlighter thing is sticking. The colorful highlighters were really popular years and years ago, and then everyone was like, okay, we're over it now. Unicorns aren't the main gig anymore. But I feel like we're still seeing a more elevated, like semi-sheer melting into the skin version of this kind of thing. And again, more duochromatic, not just a color reflecting, but something like this that looks like your skin is wet and also looks like your skin is iridescent, shifting like a soap bubble. It warms my heart to see Pat McGrath doing this now, still doing this, because I feel like it has a kind of timelessness and there's also this joy. It is definitely like Euphoria makeup adjacent, this irreverence, celebration. It's colorful, but it's also wearable and it looks so elevated here. It's very much like the cream version of the highlighter that I used on my face when I played with the Euphoria makeup trend in a recent video. And I love the way that highlighter looks. I actually kept wearing it. I went out of town for a week after that and I took it with me and I wore it a little bit while I was on the road. Even though I'm not going to buy it, I'm really happy to see it. And I'm glad that this kind of thing is still trending in a way that kind of makes it feel like maybe it's becoming accepted as something timeless. Okay, that's it. Kind of an interesting week. I feel like there were more things than usual making me want to buy them. Sometimes I sit down to do this and I'm just like, nothing is appealing. But this week, there were a lot of things that piqued my interest, like the e.l.f. Putty Blushes, the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, the r.e.m. cream bronzers and cream highlighters. And it makes me glad that I have these strategies like shopping my stash, duping the vibes, which is the strategy that I already used on the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette to kind of like dispel the mystique and make myself less excited about the prospect of buying it. And it pretty much worked like a charm. And the best strategy when I feel this way, when I feel like there are a bunch of new releases making me want them and they're coming thick and fast, the best strategy for me is to wish list and wait, as I've talked about recently, not to buy something on the launch day, not to rush out and buy it as soon as I've found out about it, but to put it on a wish list, wait a week or two, give myself time to simmer down. I always get clarity that way and I end up making much better decisions. I hope you enjoyed going through some of these new releases with me. If something did come up in this video that you really passionately do want to see me review, let me know because I definitely can't review all of the things that piqued my interest today, but maybe one of them. So cast your vote in the comments. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.